The introduction of Deadpool and Wolverine to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, also called the MCU, represents a pivotal moment in the saga's continuing development. As we transition into Phase 5, there is an underlying concern that these iconic characters may not resonate as expected with audiences. This video suggests that a potential flop could be attributed to a decreasing interest following Phase 4, compounded by shifts in narrative focus and audience fatigue that contrast sharply with the success factors of Phases 1 through 3. Phase 4 of the MCU was marked by an ambitious expansion into television series and a deeper exploration of the multiverse. While it introduced characters and plotlines that broadened the MCU's scope, it also faced backlash for lacking a cohesive, overarching storyline that will leave an impact after the Infinity Saga that culminated in Phase 3 with Avengers Endgame. This end marked a high point in the MCU storytelling, bringing long-term character development and interconnected narratives to satisfying conclusions. Phases 1 through 3 built a foundation on well-loved characters such as Iron Man, Captain America, and the Hulk, whose arcs were carefully developed over multiple films, creating a robust and emotionally engaging storyline. In contrast, Phase 4 has been perceived as fragmented by some fans and critics alike. Despite the critical acclaim for the individual shows and movies like WandaVision and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the phase as a whole lacked a unifying thread or story arc that drove the earlier phases. The emotional investment in new characters has been mixed, with some audiences feeling overwhelmed by the rapid introduction of new faces and complex concepts like the multiverse, which, fascinating, can dilute the narrative focus and emotional intensity compared to the single-threaded narratives in the earlier phases. The MCU's ever-expanding universe has brought an influx of new characters, worlds, and complexities introduced in Phase 4. This has been quite a departure from the carefully paced narratives that were hallmarks of Phases 1 through 3. With every new movie or TV show, the sort of narrative accumulation and character depth that allow viewers to form deep emotional connections might be compromised. As Deadpool and Wolverine became part of the expansive tapestry, the risk is that they will merely become additional characters in an already crowded scene, rather than integral parts of the storyline, potentially leading to character oversaturation and audience overstimulation. And it's a shame, because Deadpool and Wolverine carry significant fan expectations due to their popular portrayals in previous films outside the MCU. However, integrating these well-established characters into a much broader narrative for the MCU poses significant risks. There is a concern that their unique traits, especially Deadpool's meta humor and Wolverine's gritty intensity, might be watered down to fit the existing MCU mold. The potential dilution could alienate longtime fans. Furthermore, if Phase 5 does not address to coherence issues faced in Phase 4, even those beloved characters may not be sufficient to re-engage disenchanted viewers. Deadpool is known for his R-rated humor and breaking of the fourth wall, elements that are fundamentally different from much of the previous MCU output. Wolverine, on the other hand, is a character steeped in themes of rage, pain, and intense personal drama, marking a tonal variation from the somewhat lighter, more universally approachable tone of many MCU films. Balancing these distinctive elements within a family-friendlier MCU could result in tonal inconsistency. If not managed correctly, this might alienate existing fans of those characters who expect a certain fidelity to their established tones. Over the decade-plus span of the MCU, audience demographics and preferences have also shifted. The earlier phases attracted a generation of viewers who have since aged, and their taste in film and narrative complexity might have evolved. Newer generations might not have the same historical attachment to characters like Deadpool and Wolverine, and may prefer characters like Spider-Man or newer entries like Eternals. If Marvel doesn't strategically cater to the shifting demographic, even Deadpool and Wolverine's undoubted popularity might not translate into the kind of success anticipated. As a long-term Marvel enthusiast and someone who actively engaged in the comics and movies, my insights are embedded in both personal attachments to the Marvel Universe and the analytical observations of its trajectory. Seeing characters like Deadpool and Wolverine join the MCU excites me, yet prompts critical reflection on the direction this beloved series is taking. Working at a movie theater, I have had a front row seat to the shifting patterns in audience attendance and behavior. Recently, there has been a noticeable decrease in the crowd that comes in, and it's not hard to see why. The strikes of the writer's strike has led a noticeable dip in the quality of new releases, with fewer compelling stories making their way onto the big screen. Simultaneously, the films industry is experiencing an oversaturation of films, with multiple new releases every week, which paradoxically dilutes the interest of even the most enthusiastic moviegoers. Each of these factors contributes to a less engaging cinematic experience, and as a result, fewer people are stepping through the theater doors. This trend has been partially disheartening, seeing firsthand how vital engaging content is to bringing audiences together and keeping the magic of the cinema alive. Characters like Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America grew organically within the MCU's narratives, allowing audiences to invest emotionally as they followed the journeys through multiple phases. Unlike these gradually developed characters, Deadpool and Wolverine are jumping into a already established and convoluted narrative realm. If their integration lacks sufficient backstory, adaptation, and character development within the current MCU context, it could result in disengagement from the audience. Moreover, if their roles are seen as mere attempts to leverage the popularity without significant contributions to the larger story arc, it could further dilute audience interest. As Marvel Studios embarks on the inclusion of Deadpool and Wolverine into the MCU in Phase 5, it faces an array of challenges from narrative cohesion and character development to audience engagement and brand consistency. The success of these characters will heavily depend on Marvel's capacity to innovate while persevering the cherished elements that make these characters iconic. Going forward, Marvel strategists and storytellers need to carefully craft these introductions to sustain and expand the MCU's legendary status while engaging both old fans and new viewers. The successful integration and reception of Deadpool and Wolverine into the MCU during Phase 5 hang on Marvel's ability to recapture the storytelling magic of the earlier phases. This involves creating a more focused, overarching narrative and carefully balancing character integrity with the broader universe. The evolution of the MCU must consider these aspects to avoid the flop of potentially what could be the most exciting additions to its character roster since its creation. By addressing these concerns and optimizing the strengths of the MCU storytelling heritage, the introduction of Deadpool and Wolverine has the potential not only to succeed, but to innovate the franchise with fresh yet faithful elements. It's an intricate balance to strike, and one that will require careful planning and passionate storytelling. Thank you so much for tuning in and exploring this detailed analysis with me today. As we eagerly await the integration of Deadpool and Wolverine into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, your insights and opinions are invaluable to keeping the community's discussion lively and informed. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Do you enjoy these deep dive video essays, or do you prefer shorter, more concise reviews? Your feedback helps shape the content I create, ensuring I offer the most engaging and relevant material for our community. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content like this. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.